Imagine a city carved from stone and shadow, a place where ancient rivalries run deeper than the cobblestone streets. Here, two great houses, the Valerians and the Montcroy, are locked in a bitter feud. Their animosity a poison that seeps into every corner of the city. In this world of gilded cages and whispered threats, a love story begins. Not in a sunlit garden, but in a rain-slicked alley, shrouded in mist. This is where Elias Valerian, heir to a house built on power and steel, first saw her, Isabella Montcroy, whose family's legacy was woven from secrets and silver tongues. The rain fell like a curtain around them, blurring the world and leaving only the two of them in sharp focus. For Elias, it was as if the moon had descended from the heavens. Her eyes held a defiance that mirrored his own, a longing for something more than the gilded prison of their lives. For Isabella, his gaze was not one of conquest, but of understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the burden they both carried. In that stolen moment, surrounded by the scent of rain and wet stone, a connection sparked a dangerous, impossible flame in a city drenched in hate. They knew the risks. To be seen together was to invite ruin, but the pull between them was a current too strong to resist. Their clandestine meetings became their sanctuary. Hidden alcoves, forgotten rooftops under a blanket of stars, the quiet hush of the city's ancient library after dark. These were the spaces where they could shed the weight of their names and simply be Elias and Isabella. He would bring her stories of the world beyond their city walls, tales of adventure and freedom that made her heart ache with longing. She, in turn, shared with him the poetry of her soul, words that painted pictures of a world where love was not a weakness but a strength. They built a fragile world of their own, piece by piece, whisper by whisper. But secrets, like shadows, cannot last forever in the light. The turning point came with a single, folded piece of parchment. A secret message, a plan for a final, desperate escape, was sent from Elias to Isabella. It spoke of a ship waiting at the harbor, of a new life under a different sun. But this delicate thread of hope was never meant to reach her. It was intercepted, not by a sworn enemy, but by someone much closer, someone moving within the shadows of their own confidence. The message was twisted, its meaning warped into a narrative of betrayal. The news spread like wildfire through the noble houses, fanning the flames of the old feud into a raging inferno. The annual masquerade ball, an event meant to be a fragile truce, was now set to become a stage for confrontation. The grand ballroom was a kaleidoscope of color and deceit. Behind ornate masks of velvet and gold, eyes glinted with suspicion. The air, usually thick with perfume and polite laughter, was now charged with an unspoken tension. Elias arrived, his heart a cold stone in his chest, searching the crowd for Isabella. He found her near the grand balcony, her mask a porcelain tragedy. Her posture was rigid, her usual warmth replaced by an icy distance. When he reached for her hand, she flinched. The whispers had reached her ears, the poisoned words painting him as a traitor who had used her love as a weapon in their family's war. Before he could explain, they were surrounded. The masks came off, revealing the snarling faces of their kin. Accusations were hurled like daggers across the polished marble floor. The carefully constructed peace of the evening shattered. Isabella's own brother, his face a mask of righteous fury, stepped forward, challenging Elias. He saw the pain and confusion in Isabella's eyes, a reflection of the turmoil in his own soul. He knew this was a setup, a perfectly orchestrated trap designed to tear them apart and plunge the city into chaos. Heeding a desperate, silent plea in her eyes, Elias led the retreat, not in cowardice, but in a strategic bid for time. The confrontation spilled from the suffocating ballroom into the cool night air of the moonlit gardens. This was supposed to be a place of beauty, of manicured hedges and blooming nightshade. Tonight, it was a battleground. Steel sang a deadly song as blades clashed under the pale, watchful gaze of the moon. It was a chaotic dance of shadows and silver. Valerians against Moncroy. Elias fought with a desperate grace, his focus not on victory, but on finding a path back to Isabella, on breaking through the wall of lies that had been built between them. And then, in a flash of moonlight on polished steel, the betrayal was laid bare. As Isabella's brother lunged at an unguarded Elias, a figure moved with startling speed. It was Marcus, Elias's most trusted friend and confidant, the keeper of all his secrets. But instead of defending Elias, Marcus's blade was aimed at Isabella. In that split second, everything became terrifyingly clear. It was Marcus who had intercepted the letter. It was Marcus who had whispered the poison into the ears of both houses. He had never been a friend, but a serpent, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to strike, hoping to dismantle both houses from within and seize power for himself. Elias reacted without thought, his own blade parrying the treacherous strike just inches from Isabella. The sound of their swords clashing echoed the shattering of trust. The fighting around them paused, all eyes drawn to the drama unfolding at its heart. Isabella stared, her face pale, the full weight of the deception crashing down on her. The man who had feigned friendship, who had smiled and offered counsel, was the architect of their ruin. The enemy had not been standing across a battle line, but right beside them. As the first light of dawn began to paint the eastern sky in hues of grey and rose, a fragile quiet descended upon the garden. The conspirators, led by the now exposed Marcus, were subdued. The raw, violent anger of the night had cooled into a weary, somber understanding. The true enemy had been revealed, but the wounds, both fresh and ancient, remained. Elias and Isabella stood facing each other amidst the quiet aftermath, the rising sun casting long shadows behind them. The city was waking up, but their own world had been irrevocably altered. The choice before them was stark and absolute. Before them lay two paths. One was the path of duty. They could return to their families, use this moment of shared vulnerability to broker a real, lasting peace, and spend their lives trying to heal the rift that had almost destroyed them. They would be leaders, symbols of a new era, but they would be forever bound by the responsibilities of their names, their love relegated to a historical footnote. The other path led down to the harbor, where a ship still waited, its sails ready to catch the morning wind. It was the path of desire, of freedom. A life together, anonymous and untethered, far away from the gilded cages and political machinations of their home. But to choose it would be to abandon their people, to leave the city, to navigate the treacherous peace process without them. The sun climbed higher, bathing the city in a golden light that promised a new day. What would they choose? The heavy crown of duty, or the uncertain freedom of a shared horizon? Their love, born in a rain-slicked alley, had survived a night of fire and steel. Now, in the quiet light of dawn, it faced its greatest test. A final choice between the world they were born to rule and the one they dreamed of building together. The city held its breath, waiting for their answer. Thank you so much for watching. If this story captured your imagination, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more tales of love, betrayal, and impossible choices. Let us know in the comments what you think they should do. We'll see you in the next one.